Hello, Westmore Central. This is Miss Hennessy here, 9th and 11th grade school counselor. I'm lucky enough to be joined with Miss Stacy Kowalczyk from Penn State University. Hi, Stacy. How are you today?
I am great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So if you wouldn't mind just starting the interview by telling us a little bit about yourself, the school you represent, and what your favorite part about Penn State is.
Sure. I'm thrilled to be here. Hello again and welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's great that you guys are having these sessions. My name is Stacy Kowalczyk. I've been with Penn State University for 16 years. I am the admissions counselor specifically responsible for the state of New Jersey, but I also oversee our other recruiters that travel all over the country and then live in other remote areas of the country. We have someone in New York, someone in Washington, D.C., California, so we can really work with our students and get to learn our schools in those areas. I am, of course, a very proud Penn State alumni. I come from a family of Penn State alumni. As you hear me talk about Penn State today, you'll certainly hear that we talk about fit and family at Penn State. So it is not unusual to find one Penn Stater who is related to another Penn Stater and then perhaps married to another Penn Stater, and it just goes on and on. So let me talk a little bit about Penn State University. So we are the State University of Pennsylvania, right? So we are a large university. So as you guys are looking at schools, you're probably looking at small, medium, large size schools. Penn State University is sort of like what I like to consider supersized, but I like to think that is for you as students, that means that the opportunities are supersized, right? We have a total enrollment of about 95,000 students. So that's a lot of students. But those students are spread out among 20 campuses all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You're probably most familiar with the University Park campus, which is the largest campus in the state of Pennsylvania. It's right in the middle of the state. We have about 46,000 students at that campus. If you are new to Penn State, you might hear that one described as the main campus of Penn State, or if you are a college football fan, that's where we have our stadium where our football team is playing. So that's the University Park campus of Penn State. Now, the way it works at Penn State is you can do all 4 years of your education at one campus, or you can participate in what we call the 2+2 program, where you'd start your degree at one of our Commonwealth campuses, do 2 years, and then transition to the University Park campus to complete your degree. Now, we like to think of ourselves as one university geographically dispersed all over the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, so you have access to the same great education. Your degree says the same thing when you graduate. It all says the Pennsylvania State University, no matter what campus you start at, no matter what campus you finish at, you carry that Penn State degree with you. We do have over 275 academic programs for you to choose. They're divided into what we like to consider sort of your homes, which are academic colleges, things like the College of Engineering, the College of Education. And when you're admitted to the university, we're typically admitting you into an academic college. Your first 2 years in that academic college, you're taking some general classes as well as some prerequisite coursework. And then typically in the end of your 4th semester, you're working with your advisor to declare specifically what your major is. Perhaps it's civil engineering at that point, something like that. Or you can apply to the university as an undecided student. I actually think you get great advisement if you start out as an undecided student at Penn State University. You can explore all of our majors, take classes, find out what you're good at, find out what you're not good at, which is almost as important before you declare your major. So large university, multi-campus system, lots of academic options for you. We also have 1,200 clubs and organizations for you to get involved in. A lot of our clubs at the university are focused on making a real world impact. So you might have heard of Dance Marathon, which is the largest run student philanthropy in the world. It's run entirely by Penn State students. It's a year-long fundraising effort where our students are raising money to fight pediatric cancer, and it culminates in a 46-hour, no sitting, no sleeping dance marathon. And it is a really large part of many Penn State students' experience. We also have the Nittany Lion Fund, which, if you're interested in business, is a student-managed investment fund with over $10 million that you can participate in. We have student newspaper, student government. We do compete in Division I, Big Ten varsity athletics, if you're interested in that. We also offer a number of campuses that offer D3 athletics. If you're interested in that. We also offer club and intramural sports. Lots of ways to get involved at Penn State University. The last thing I'll say as I wrap up, tell you a little bit more about the university, I would say our alumni association is bar none. Penn State has the largest alumni network in the world, with over, I think the current number is 700,000 living Penn Staters, or 700,000 Penn State alumni all over the globe. 1 in every 106 Americans with a college degree is a Penn Stater. So we talk about that just when we talk about fit and family and being part of that Penn State network, because it is a really large network. And maybe it's the type of thing that you're looking for a job and you are sliding your resume across the table and you're being interviewed by another Penn Stater, but it's maybe that you are moving to a new city, a new state, a new town. I can tell you it happened to me. I do this for work. I never thought I would honestly be saying this story, but when my husband and I bought our house, we put out our Penn State flag like good Penn Staters do, and we had a knock on our door in a week. Hey, welcome to the neighborhood. You're Penn Staters. We're Penn Staters too. And that's just a really nice large community to be a part of. And to the question at the beginning, what do I love about Penn State? I would say that alumni network is probably the number one thing I love about being a Penn Stater. I'm always proud to wear my blue and white, my Penn State clothes. You guys live here in New Jersey. You can't drive down the road without seeing a Penn State bumper sticker or without seeing someone wear a Penn State hat. So it is a really large network to be a part of, and it's a friendly network that bleeds blue and white and wants to welcome you. So that, I think, is absolutely the thing I am most proud of being a Penn Stater.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
So for the next question, Penn State is known for having a bunch of wonderful traditions at their school, in addition to their alumni connections and different connections in that respect. What is your favorite school tradition that Penn State has?
Sure. So we've got, as you said, a lot of great traditions at Penn State. We would be remiss, and these conversations tend to go this way sometimes, if we didn't mention Penn State football and our whiteout football games. There is really nothing like being in our football stadium with 110,000 of your closest friends all wearing white, cheering on the Penn State Nittany Lions to a win. That is an amazing tradition that we are really proud of. But I will also put a plug in, because I think this is a food related tradition that I feel like I have to throw out there. Penn State University, we make our own ice cream at the Berkey Creamery. So I swear we literally have the best ice cream in the world. And if you don't believe me, Penn State University holds an ice cream making class. Ben and Jerry. So if you are a fan of Ben and Jerry's, Ben and Jerry came to Penn State University to learn how to make ice cream. So I think that I know, right? So I think that is one of those things that you could file away in the awesome Penn State tradition for ice cream. Definitely.
So I know you mentioned there's over 200 undergraduate majors at Penn State earlier, right? So what would you say your top majors at the school are?
Sure. So we are really fortunate at Penn State that we have a number of programs that are nationally ranked, and the entire university receives amazing accolades, right? So we are proud to say we're a top 1% university, a top public institution in the country. We do have some programs that I would say rank really high for the national rankings in their particular programs. So the Smeal College of Business, which is our entire college of business at the university, receives high rankings. Specifically, our supply chain program receives really high rankings. So if you're interested in the Smeal College of Business, that program is well ranked. I will also talk for a second about our College of Engineering. 1 in every 50 professionally licensed engineers in the country is a Penn State alumni. So our College of Engineering gets strong rankings across the board in all of its programs. But I would say that the College of Engineering at the university is typically our most popular applied to program at the university, but it shouldn't discourage you in any way as far as the admissions process goes. We have lots of programs, lots of seats for all our students in the College of Engineering. Other programs that receive top rankings, our meteorology program is really highly ranked if you're interested in the weather. Our musical theater program, if you are looking to become a Broadway star, is really highly ranked. Our architecture program is really highly ranked. Currently, as far as admissions goes, our most competitive program to be admitted to is our nursing program. And the reason for that is the State Board of Nursing regulates the number of students we can have in the program. Our student to faculty ratio always has to be at least 12 to 1. So we can't ever admit more students than we have faculty by 12. So that's something just to keep in mind if you are interested in applying to the nursing program, which is a fantastic program at the university. It just is probably our most competitive program as far as admissions numbers goes right now.
Great. So we hear a lot about sticker price versus actual paid price in terms of tuition. What can you tell us about the typical tuition price and financial aid packages students at Penn State receive?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And let me start by saying, Penn State University, we are an out-of-state school for you, right? So Pennsylvania State University, part of our threefold mission, teaching, research, and service, the service first goes to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, since we are the state university of Pennsylvania, and we are partially supported by taxpayer money. First, people who live in Pennsylvania are paying taxes to the state of Pennsylvania. So there is a difference in in-state and out-of-state tuition. So you definitely want to keep that in mind, that you are aware that if you are applying to Penn State, you would be paying out-of-state tuition. What I would say as far as tuition goes is there is a difference in Pennsylvania State University tuition for the University Park campus versus our Commonwealth campuses. And it's a pretty significant difference. It's a little less than $10,000 in terms of tuition and everything like that. But there are also additional scholarship opportunities for students who are interested in attending our Commonwealth campuses. So as far as student aid goes, we always at Penn State encourage you to have the FAFSA form on file, right? It's the free application for federal student aid. And I have lots of parents tell me that they don't think that they're going to qualify for student aid. Why would they fill out the FAFSA form? So for us at Penn State, we always encourage you to have the FAFSA form on file because it's the key that unlocks all of that student aid, which includes merit-based scholarships, loans, grants, everything like that. But you have to have that FAFSA form on file for maximum consideration. So there is an award at Penn State that I'd love to take just this opportunity to tell you about because you probably would be eligible for it. It's called the Discover Award at Penn State because we want you to discover Penn State, right? It is an award that is available at our 19 Commonwealth campuses. So it is not available at the University Park campus. So to be eligible for the Discover Award, you have to have a FAFSA form on file by December 1st of your senior year, live in a state contiguous to Pennsylvania, which you all should if you're living in New Jersey, right? Beautiful Long Valley. And then you also have to have an offer of admission to one of our Commonwealth campuses. So if you have those three things, you are automatically considered for a Discover Award. Now, the Discover Award at Penn State is $6,000 off tuition for your first 2 years at Penn State University. So that's a $12,000 savings. But if you continue at one of our Commonwealth campuses and don't transition to University Park, so for example, if you stay, let's just use the Hazleton campus as an example. If you continue at Hazleton for year 3 and 4, that Discover Award goes up to $7,000 a year. So it is a fantastic way to go to Penn State to get the Penn State education and to keep your costs down so they are in line with your in-state school. So you would be paying less tuition because you're at a Commonwealth campus, and then you would have the Discover Award on top of that, and that brings the cost of Penn State tuition down really, really close, maybe like a couple $100 less than in-state tuition for you at your flagship school here in New Jersey. So it's just something to consider if you are really, I think it's a great, no matter what campus you go of Penn State, you are going to come out with the same degree. So it's a great way when we talk about return on investment and value, right? Because this is like, let's be honest, a college degree is probably one of the largest investments you're ever going to make, right? Like it is, we want you to be informed consumers. We want you to do the research. So when you are thinking about what the return on that investment is, considering attending one of our Commonwealth campuses and that Discover Award is a great way to get a Penn State education in an affordable way.
Yeah, that really is a great opportunity. That's excellent.
You.
So can you tell us a little bit about what type of student you typically accept at Penn State based on test scores, GPA, class rank, those kind of factors?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Yes, I can talk about that. And I want to say that's one of the things that Penn State, given our multi-campus system, allows us is to accept students academically all across the gamut. Right? So our University Park campus is the most competitive campus as far as admissions goes. We're typically admitting students in that A minus range. Now we are test optional. So if you want to submit your test scores, you can, but you don't have to for us in the application process. It's the number one question I've been getting as I'm on the road recruiting this year is, should I send my test scores? Should I not send my test scores? I truly want to tell students, if you feel like your test scores are an academic reflection of your academic abilities, send your test scores and we'll use them in your review. But if you don't think that they accurately reflect your academic abilities, or you weren't able to take a test, don't send them to us. That's fine. We won't use them in the review. But so University Park being a little bit more competitive, our students are typically in that A minus range as far as GPA goes. And we are looking at your GPA 9th through 11th grade. If you're making any academic progress 9th through 11th grade, we're taking into account the rigor of your schedule, all of those things in your senior year schedule. And as far as test scores go, it's so hard to put an exact pin on it because we truly are about 50% of our students are sending their scores and about 50% are not sending their scores. So if you find yourself on sort of the lower end of those ranges, you may need to be a little bit flexible about your campus choice. Maybe University Park being your first choice campus. On your application to Penn State, you are going to have a second choice campus. So that's why I'm here. We want you to do a little bit of research, figure out which other Penn State campus you might be interested in. We love to give good news at Penn State. We don't love to give bad news. So if we can't admit you to your first choice campus, when we review your application, we keep you in the same academic program. We'd love to be able to admit you to your second choice campus.
So the student, yes, absolutely. If a student applies test optional, are they still considered for scholarship consideration?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, they are. It does not hurt you in any way in our application pool or the scholarship pool to apply test optional. Totally up to you.
Great. So we are an IB World School. We have both the IB diploma here in addition to the IB career program at Central. How does IB affect a student's admissions candidacy? And do IB students have an advantage over non-IB students who apply from West Morris Central?
Sure. So that's a great question. So we are looking at the full gamut of your application, as we are looking at your classes, your grades, your GPA. We are looking at the rigor of your schedule. So if you are taking IB classes, we know that your schedule is a little bit more competitive, if you will say, a little bit more rigorous. We are taking that into account. So, rest assured, we know if you are putting the work into that, we know that your grades might be, I hate to say a little lower, but but we know that that's the way you're thinking of it. It certainly doesn't put you in a disadvantage in any way, shape, or form to someone who might have taken a college prep track, but might be getting grades that are a little bit higher. We are going to look at the full picture of the classes you've taken, the academic rigor of those classes, and then the grades that you've got in your full 9 through 11 in your senior year schedule transcript. We're going to take it all into account. And I also would encourage, I know it's hard not to think about, we are not comparing one application to another application from your school. So you truly are not competing with your classmates for our spots at Penn State University. If every student from your school was who applied met the criteria we were looking for, we would admit every single one of you. And conversely, if none of you did, we would admit none of you. So, I mean, I don't ever want you to feel like you are competing against a student sitting in a class next to you or in homeroom next to you.
How important is the essay in the college admissions process at your school?
Yeah, so for us, it's not that important. So for us, it is an optional part of your application. I think it's important that you do it. We call it a personal statement. We just ask you to tell us a little bit more about yourself. I think it's great if it's there. But for us, if we can make an academic decision on your application, we will. That means if we can, make the decision just using the information we can get from your SAR, your self-reported academic record, if you've submitted your test scores, we will make that decision. We do not look at the essay on every application. Now, if it is the case that we can't make a decision based on what we've seen so far and we look to the next step, that personal statement would be that next step. So if it's there, which I would encourage you to fill it out, so it is there, usually helps a student. I've rarely read one that doesn't help a student. So it's sort of like an icing on the cake part of the application for us.
Great. How important are the activities in the college admissions process at your school?
I would say the activities are exactly the same as the essay for us. I mean, it is great. Listen, we want you to be well-rounded students. We want you to participate in your community and in your high school. That tells us that you will be active members of our community once you choose to come to our university, right? But your grades and your academic work are a much larger part of our academic review of your admission. So your activities are great, and they may, again, be that next thing we go to, but it is not going to lead our admissions review.
And then this is the last question we have today. If you could offer one piece of advice to students either really early in the college search process or just starting out, or they're ready to submit their application, they're right at the end, what would you advise for them?
Wow, that is a great question. So couple things. If I could, my best advice is to work together as a family. I think that sometimes this process, I know it can be so stressful, and students are arguing with their parents, and parents are putting pressure on their students to get everything in and to all jump in the station wagon and tour all the schools they pass on the way to their summer vacation, whatever it may be. I know that it can be really, really stressful, but I think that if you can figure out a way to work together as a family and sort of take the stress out of it, I know that that's so it's cliche advice, and it's probably harder done than said. But I think if you can figure out a way to work as a family and make this process fun and enjoyable as a time that maybe, you're enjoying this last year that your student is living under your roof, and you're spending all this time to make this decision together. And you can enjoy that time that you're spending together to make this decision before next year they're off at school and then they're not there under your roof. So I think if you can work together as a family, enjoy the time as a family, and figure out a way to make that whole process fun and enjoyable instead of stressful, that would be and I think if you start that conversation in a freshman, in a sophomore year, your first 2 years of high school, and maybe you make an agreement that you only talk about it once a week over pizza on Saturday afternoons or Sunday, whatever it is, or pick a day that's the time you talk about college instead of it being sort of everywhere all the time. I think that can be a helpful hint.
Great advice. Well, thank you so much, Stacy, for taking the time out of the day to meet with us. It was wonderful to gain more insight about Penn State. I know a lot of our students always apply. It's very popular amongst our students. So it's just great to learn more about the admissions process, all the programs you have, and what you're looking for in your students. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good rest of your year.
You too.